So I'm going to start by saying I'm not very good at this. That's what I would recommend if you are having a difficult day. Hello and welcome back to my channel. My name is Emily and I am a queer artist and illustrator based in the UK. Thanks for joining me, thanks for being here. And yeah, today I thought I would do a video about running a small business as an autistic ADHDer or having AuDHD. So yeah, I put out some questions on my Instagram like a couple of weeks ago and I thought that I would answer them for you today. But yeah, before we get into the video, I would really appreciate it if you could give it a little like. And as we go through, if you have any questions, please leave a comment below. And if you would like to join my little rainbow club here on YouTube, please subscribe and you can be part of our little community. I would love to have you and I would really appreciate any support in getting this video out to more people who might find it useful and just knowing if it is something that you have enjoyed watching. So yeah, let's get on into the video and thank you so much for being here. Okay, so throughout this video I'm going to be looking at my phone because it has the questions on it, and also I have bullet pointed, I don't know if you can see, I've bullet pointed my answers because I tried to record this video last week and I spent 40 minutes answering one question. So I've tried to make it a bit more concise, and then if there's anything that you would like to hear more about, please let me know in the comments because I would be super happy to make a video about anything in more detail or answer any more questions that you might have. But yeah, if I'm looking at my phone, I promise I'm not ignoring you. I'm trying to do a good job. But yeah, okay, so for a bit of background before we get into the questions, I thought I would just let you know a bit about me and a bit about my diagnoses of autism and ADHD. So I was diagnosed as autistic when I was 18 years old. So for context, now I am 23. So I've had that diagnosis with me for 5 years. So I would say I know myself quite well as an autistic person and I understand my needs as an autistic person quite well, and how I need to accommodate that. I was diagnosed as having ADHD a few months ago, so this year when I was 23. So yeah, having ADHD is something that I am still like working through, and I'm still working out the best ways to support myself, as it's something that I am like, it's quite like new to me, I guess. And yeah, I'm currently not medicated specifically for either of those diagnoses, so I just manage myself. But yeah, that's a bit of context just so you know about me and about where I'm coming from. And yeah, let's get into the questions. And like I said, these questions were from Instagram, so if you would ever like to ask me any questions in the future or get involved with more videos like this, please follow me over on Instagram. It will be linked in the description and you can ask me some questions yourself next time if you would like to. Okay, so the first question says, what are some challenges you face and how do you overcome them? So for this, I've written, one of the challenges that I face is organisation. This is something that I really struggle with. So I struggle a lot with knowing where all my things are, keeping a tidy workspace, and keeping on top of all of my tasks. So within my business, I have a lot of stock, I have a lot of different materials, like I have even like a lot of different electrical devices. I have like my camera, my laptop, my iPad, my chargers, I have hard drives, I have SD cards, I have like my tripod, and then I also have like all, like I said, all of my stock and things like that. So I struggle a lot keeping on top of where all that is, and I struggle with maintaining a clean workspace. And one thing that helps me with managing that is, first of all, accepting that that is something I find hard, which maybe seems really obvious, but I am slowly accepting the fact that like I struggle with organisation and I will just not ever be a tidy person. My workspace probably will be messy, I will have stuff on my desk, and sort of like learning that has helped me to hold myself to more realistic expectations, which I think helps take a lot of pressure off. And other things that help, sorry I'm just checking my notes, other things that help me with that is trying to give things that I use often and that I need to know where they are a proper space. So for example, my laptop, I don't know if you can see in the corner, I have a laptop stand, and I always try and put my laptop on my laptop stand, and then my iPad sits next to it, and I try to keep my camera in a basket on my desk, and even little bits like the bit that screws to my tripod that holds my phone, I keep that in a specific drawer and stuff like that. So if you find yourself like using stuff on a daily basis, try and maybe assign it a spot. And I know that's really hard, like I only am able to do that with a few things that I regularly use. Yeah, that is one thing that helps me. And then yeah, in terms of organisation, keeping on top of all of my tasks, the main thing that helps me with that is making lists. I basically will write down everything that is in my brain. I feel like, because my business has a lot of different parts to it, I do social media, I have an online shop, I have an Etsy shop, I do markets, I do commercial work, and I'm starting to do wholesale work as well. That's obviously a lot of different subsections to manage and to keep on top of, but what helps me the most is to just write everything down. So even if I think, oh, I'm not gonna do that today, I will write it down, so I have got it written down somewhere, and it then feels like it leaves my brain, and I can then go through my like master list of everything to make smaller, more manageable lists for each day, and that way I sort of hopefully know everything that needs to get done, and I can try and split it up rather than just having an overwhelming ball of things that need to be done stuck in my brain that I don't feel able to organise. So yeah, I would say a master list and then splitting that down into little mini daily lists. And then so the next thing I would say that I struggle with is executive dysfunction. So I often struggle to get motivated to do tasks and to do like the most important things. So I have learned that I am a very interest driven person. I'm motivated by things that I care about. So I've tried to, what helps me to overcome or work through the executive dysfunction is trying to work with my brain instead of against it. So yeah, the two things that will motivate me the most is if I'm interested in something or if I have a tight deadline. So I try to use those two factors as much as I can to push myself to get things done. So for example, if I have tight deadlines, for whatever reason my brain tends to be very motivated to get that done in time. Even if I leave it to the last minute, I will always get something done for the deadline. So I really try and use that deadline to motivate myself, and where I can, I create my own personal deadlines for things like uploading stuff to my shop and like posting on social media and stuff like that. I try and make my own personal deadlines to help me as well, because I think otherwise it can be really hard to get things done. And additionally, yeah, with working with my brain and my interest-led motivation, something that I found has really helped me with running my business is to really listen to my brain. So if I wake up one day and say I've planned to do some content creation, but my whole brain is like, today I really feel like I want to organize my finances for whatever reason, I will, unless it's something that is completely necessary to have done on that day, I will scrap my plan and work with my brain to do whatever it feels motivated to do, because I know then I will get that thing done so much quicker, I will get that thing done so much better. And especially with stuff like finances and things, or if I wake up and have a day where I am feeling like I want to make content, if I capitalize on what I want to do on that day, I will get way more done to a much higher standard than if I say, no, today I plan to do this, and I force myself to do something that I don't want to do. I don't know if that makes sense, and obviously that doesn't always work if you have other things you need to do, if you have other commitments, or if you have deadlines and things like that. So it's not always effective, but when I can, that is something that I always try to implement, because it makes me happier, more productive, and just works really well for me. And then the last thing I'm going to talk about for what challenges I face and how I overcome them is burnout. So yeah, burnout is something that I have really struggled with, especially when I was running my business alongside having a full-time and part-time job. I think when you're in that situation where you are employed by someone else and also running your own business, it is especially hard to manage burnout, because you tend to be working all the time, because to find time to run your small business as well as being employed is really challenging. So if you are in that situation, I would just say try to do the best you can to take breaks when you need to, like make use of your holiday days at your employment, you know, for rest or for time to get small business stuff done. But yeah, that is something that I just found really hard, and I could make a whole nother video about that in particular if you're interested, because before I was running my small business full-time, which I am now, I was doing it alongside a full-time and part-time job for I think about 2.5 years. So yeah, if you would like more detail about that in a separate video, please let me know. But I'm going to talk about how I manage burnout just as a small business owner right now, because that's the situation I'm currently in. Yeah, so what works best for me managing burnout is to try and manage my rest, which I don't know if that makes sense, but like little things. Like, I know something that's really important for me in avoiding burnout is having enough sleep. So most mornings, because I am self-employed, I don't set an alarm. I let myself wake up when I naturally wake up. Sometimes that's at 8, sometimes that's at 10, and I just let myself get the rest that I need, and that's one thing that really helps me. I know that's like a very privileged thing to be able to do, but that is one thing that really helps me to manage burnout, is to make sure I get enough rest with sleep and things like that. And another thing is to try and, in between the periods of being busy, so for me that is in the summer for Pride season and around Christmas time, around those busy periods, to try and have after that a period of calm. So after the Pride season this year, which is from probably around May to August, I, for September, tried to do less. This is still something I'm not very good at, like as much as I can say this, I still really struggle with it, but I really try to be aware that after I have been really busy, I need to prioritize rest. And then, for example, now like November and December is very busy for me, so in January I am hoping to do a bit less so that I can recover. And yeah, for burnout I would also just say as well, as much as it's important to have like physical rest, like sleeping and letting your body relax, for me it's also really important to do things I enjoy, and that also really helps me recharge. So see any of my friends, do like creative things that I enjoy, spend time with my dog and spend time outside and things like that, like things that are also good for you, as well as things that are just typical rest. One thing I would suggest looking into is the 7 different types of rest. That's something that has really helped me. But yeah, and again, if that is something you're interested in, I can make a video about that as well. I've already taken like 15 minutes on that question, so this video might be a long one. I hope that that's okay. And also I just want to say as well, like, I am obviously in no way qualified to like give you loads of advice and things like that. I just want to come on here and share my experiences and let you know some things that have helped me and how I find it running a small business as an autistic ADHDer. So don't take anything I say as gospel, please take it with a pinch of salt, and remember that not everything that works for me will work for you. And similarly as well, if you have any tips that you think will work for me, please leave them in the comment section, because I would really appreciate that and we can all help each other, which is just amazing. The next question is, how do you suggest creating a routine? I think this is a really great question, because I think when you work for yourself and you are self-employed, it can be really challenging to create a routine. So my suggestions are to work out what your regular tasks are and plan them in at the same time each week or each day. So for example, in my business, regular tasks I have are replying to emails, packing orders, I'm trying to think what else I even do, and like drawing and making products, I would say, is probably like my 4 main things, but predominantly replying to emails and packing orders. So I will try and always on a Monday sit and reply to all my emails. I will also look at them throughout the week, but that is like part of my weekly routine, I guess, is Monday is email day and like admin day for me, and that sort of gives me a focus for that day. And similarly with packing orders, I will try and do all of my orders one day in a week. So at the moment I'm doing on Thursdays, I try and sit down and pack all of my orders. So that sort of gives me a bit of structure for those 2 days. That's one thing that helps me. And another thing that I think is the most helpful probably for me is using other people's routines around me to structure my own routines. So for example, my partner works a 9-to-5 job, so I can structure some of what I do around what they do. So we have lunch at the same time, and we eat our dinner together at the same time, so that really gives me structure. And normally we have dinner at the same time every day, and by the time I am like cooking dinner or eating dinner, that is then the like end of my work day 9 times out of 10, if that makes sense. So things like that really help me. And also bits like I have a dog, so I know every day I need to walk him, and that creates consistency in my routine as well. So I'll take him out sometimes once around like in the morning, once in the evening, and then that helps almost split my days into sections, because I think, okay, I wake up, do a bit of work, take Marshy for a walk, do a bit of work, have lunch, do some more work and have dinner, and then I'm sort of done for the day, and then I can take Marshy out for another walk. So I don't know if that really makes sense, and I think that is harder when you are living alone. But even stuff like if you call your friend at a certain time of the day, or if you text your parents and things like that, trying to use other people who have a more structured routine as almost like bones of your routine, I find really helps. And also something that I think is really important to remember is to create a routine that actually works for you. So I think it can feel really weird when you go from being employed to running a small business, or you just running a small business and being responsible for yourself. It can feel really almost like I can feel guilty for not working like 9 till 5, or like not having the same sort of structure that most other people have. And like I don't really work Monday to Friday and stuff like that. So I would just say really like think about what works for you when you're making a routine, and don't try and force yourself into what society thinks is a good routine for work. I probably work maybe like 11 till 6 most days, and sometimes I work on the weekends, and sometimes I have a day in the week off and stuff like that. So really think about what works for you and create a routine around your needs, rather than what you think should be a good work routine. Okay, so the next question says, what do you do on days when it is difficult? This is a really good question, and I think it's really important to talk about this. So when I'm having a difficult day, I will always try and take that day as rest. I will do whatever I need to. If I have deadlines, I will get that done as quickly as possible. And then if I'm really struggling, I just take the day off. I take the day off and do things I enjoy. I take the day off to rest, to sleep, because I think for me, as an autistic ADHDer, running my own business and working for myself, one of the main benefits of that is that I'm my own boss and I can make allowances for myself and my needs. One thing that my girlfriend always says to me is like, as a small business owner, you are your own like HR department. So I need to put into place like policies that work for me and maintain my health and happiness at work. So yeah, I don't know if that makes sense, but if I'm having a really difficult day, I will do everything in my power to really rest and just allow myself space away from work so that I can come back to it hopefully the next day feeling a lot better and just get a lot more done. Yeah, and again, I know that is something that is very privileged to be able to say and do. Not everyone has the option to just shut down for the day when they need to. That is what I personally do, and I would say if you don't have the option to shut down fully for a day when you're struggling, I would just try and do the best you can for the day, and then take whatever time you have in the evening or whatever breaks you have to do something that refuels you, whether that be sleep, whether that be watch your favorite show, like make a meal you really like, engage in like some sensory time and things like that. Yeah, that's what I would recommend if you are having a difficult day. And just remember as well, like as like an autistic ADHD, whether you have ADHD or autism or both, like you do have a disability and you will probably have quite a lot of difficult days and stuff like that, and that's okay. And yeah, I just think it's really important when you're able to, as a small business owner, to make those allowances for yourself, and be your own little HR department, and be a good one, not like a corporate one. Be a good HR department that values your health and happiness in your workplace and within your job. Okay, so the next question says, do you think your AuDHD helps you in running your business? I would say yes. So obviously we've spoken a lot about the struggles that come along with being autistic, ADHD and running a small business, but I do think it's really important as well to think about some of the strengths I have and some of the ways that maybe it is beneficial to me in running my own small business. So I would say yes, one of the things that I think my AuDHD really helps me with is ideas generation. So I think as a neurodivergent person, I think about the world in a very different way than a lot of other people. I think this really helps me to create products and designs and things that are unique and that express my own personal voice and help also uplift the voice of others. I think I'm also able to come up with a lot of ideas and think outside the box. I think that is one really good thing about running a small business as an autistic ADHDer. I think it really helps you to be unique and have your own voice and take on business. The next thing I would say that I think is a good thing is that, for me at least, my business and illustration and art and all of those things are my special interest as an autistic person. So I think this really helps me because it means I'm so passionate about what I do. I'm so interested in it. I'm always wanting to learn more. I am really happy to dedicate loads of time to my business and what I do, and that really keeps me motivated. And I think because that is like something that is almost at my core, like that is my special interest, that is what I care about so much, it helps me to be resilient in my business. And I also think that my passion and dedication, I'd like to think, comes through in the things I make and in the content that I share around my business. So yeah, I think that. If you can think of anything else like that applies to you, let me know in the comments, because I would love to know what our little positive things are within small business. Because I think a lot of the conversation around running a small business as a neurodivergent person can focus around the struggles of that, and I'm not trying to take away from that at all, but I think it is also really good to take a step back and also look at the positives that we have as neurodivergent small business owners. Yeah, so the last question is, how do you manage a work-life balance? So I'm going to start by saying I'm not very good at this. Yeah, so managing a work-life balance is probably the thing that I struggle the most with. As my business is my special interest, it often is the thing I want to be spending time on, and I can become very carried away and very invested in work. So yeah, that is the preface for this, is that I'm not the best at this. But things that do help me with this is making plans with external people. So for me, this is plans with my friends, plans with my family, plans with my girlfriend, and even stuff like booking onto dog training for my dog and stuff like that. Those things that because they involve other people, they hold me accountable to doing something that isn't work. So for example, if I'm spending a weekend with my family and we have plans, I am not at home, I don't have access to all of my things at home, and I'll be spending time doing things with people I love. So in that situation, it's very difficult for me to be able to do work. I don't know if that makes sense, but it almost like forces me to have more of a balance. Same like if I'm out on a date with my partner, we're doing something and we're busy, and I have someone else there accountable to hold me to not working. Another thing I would say is keeping my phone on do not disturb pretty much all of the time, or turning off notifications for certain things. Again, this is something I need to work on, but I think because as small business owners, a lot of what we do is on social media, on our phones and stuff like that, it can be really easy to get sucked into notifications and Etsy notifications and Instagram notifications and YouTube notifications and things like that. So I try and turn those off or mute them, so that in order to like see them, I have to seek them out, rather than them always being there when I'm trying to do everyday things. And then the last thing I have, or that I do to maintain a work-life balance, is something that I have been doing recently, which I heard on a podcast from Ellie Middleton, who I would really recommend you look into if you're interested in stuff about AuDHD. But she recommended this thing, which is where you split your day into quadrants, into like 4 parts. So you would have like your morning, midday, afternoon and evening, and for me that helps because I can dedicate like 2 sections of my day, like my midday and afternoon, completely to work, and then my other 2 sections I can dedicate to other parts of my life. So in the morning I will do like my self-care stuff, I sometimes will go to the gym or go for a swim, and then in the evening I can dedicate that time to being with my partner and my dog and doing things that help me unwind, like watch TV and stuff like that. So that is a structure that is really helping me. So if you would like to hear more about that as well, let me know. But I would recommend trying to split your days into quadrants or just into any sort of chunks that work for you. And then that also as well helps me feel a lot less guilty about spending time on self-care and things like that, which I know I shouldn't feel guilty for anyway. But if I know I've got 2 chunks of my day dedicated to work, I can really make time and enjoy those sections that are just for me, if that makes sense. But yeah, so this video is already like 35 minutes long, so that's gonna be all the questions that I have time for now. I'm really sorry that this video is probably very rambly. I'm not the best at being concise, and even though I made bullet points for this video, I don't know how clear my answers are gonna be. So yeah, I hope that you found it interesting hearing about my experiences, and if you have any questions or anything that you would like to know more about, please let me know in the comments below. I really want to try and work on talking about my experiences as a AuDHD business owner, because I think it's just really useful and there are a lot of people in the same position. So I really want to try and work on being able to talk about that in a better way, and hopefully bringing around some awareness and maybe even some tips that might help other people. Let me know if you have any tips yourself or any more questions you have. Thank you for watching, and if you enjoyed it, please give it a like and subscribe if you would like to join my little rainbow club. I will be back soon with more videos, whether that be a studio vlog or another sit down video like this. But yeah, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Goodbye!